EVs, well, they are not for everyone. For one, there's the charger situation, which can be a struggle, especially if you live in a high-rise building. And then of course, it's how you use your car. Because if you're someone who primarily drives on the highways, well, you might be better off with something like a hybrid or even a pure ICE. So a true mark of a great EV, if you ask me, is one that is designed to cater to a wide range of different people. And the EX30 here, well, I think this actually gets pretty close. The Volvo EX30 might just be one of the most everyone-friendly EV currently on sale, because I think it truly has something for just about everyone. Not only is it the cheapest Volvo currently on sale with prices starting from 209,000 ringgit, it's also the fastest Volvo in history, and it's also got an interior made out of recycled bottles, which means it's good for all human beings. But perhaps most importantly, it's also got a design that I think everyone will like. Now of course, some cars are more controversial than the others, but I think most cars have their critics when it comes to looks. The EX30 though, I think pretty much everyone that I've shown it to have said that this is a great looking car. Now I know this is just a small sample size, but even I myself am struggling to find a bad angle here. The front, which I'm not kidding, Volvo literally says is inspired by the Boba Fett helmet from Star Wars, has this super cool headlights with the pixelated Thor's hammer design, the side highlighted by the clean lines and unique looking wheels, and the rear with its split tail lights, which is just so Volvo but also so handsome. And all of that are paired to a unique palette of exterior colours, like this cloud blue colour that I think really gives this car that extra pop, the extra quirky character that says that this is not just another crossover. Just too bad though that the fun moss yellow colour is not available anymore. I think the only complaint that you really hear about this car is that it is just a little bit too small. I mean, it's absolutely tiny by modern standards, measuring just a little over 4.2 meters long, 1.8 meters wide, and just 1.55 meters tall. Now for context, that is even smaller than the Peugeot 2008, which I think most of us can agree is a small car. But even though its dimensions are not very big, I think it doesn't actually feel that small inside. For one, you get 318 litres of boot space at the back here, which, okay, yeah, is not the biggest in the segment, but what you do get is 61 litres of extra space underneath over here, which you can use to hide other things that you don't want to be seen by others, or even lower the boot floor down to give you extra vertical space for your taller items. By the way, this tonneau cover actually fits perfectly underneath the load floor, and if you just need a quick check to see what will or won't fit inside your boot, well, they've also printed a helpful diagram up here on the tailgate. And if that is still not enough storage space, there's also an additional frunk in front for you to chuck your charging cables inside, or maybe even smellier fruitier things like durian out of the cabin. Now Volvo calls this their smallest SUV ever made, and in terms of length, this is actually shorter than even the C30, which is a hatchback. So don't come in here expecting to feel like an XC90. But in terms of space, honestly, if you ask me, I think it's still pretty acceptable considering its size. Now I am 173 centimeters tall, and in terms of knee room, this is still pretty good, and I also get very good headroom as well thanks to this glass roof up here. And because this car is also pretty wide, I think sitting 3 adults in here is still doable on shorter journeys as well. Now my only complaint here is that the floor is actually quite high. So even though the seat base here is quite long, you still don't get much in terms of thigh support. Oh, and also there's no armrest over here. So I guess I have 2 complaints. Up front in the driver's seat, the EX30's design once again highlights Volvo's signature minimalism, with everything centered around the 12.3-inch touchscreen. And we really do mean centered because there's only one screen here. The entire interior of the EX30 is built around a sort of centralization. That means most of the car's functions and features are moved to be placed along the center line of the car, including the window switches for both the front and rear passengers. The glove box and even the speakers have also been moved into a soundbar below the front windscreen, freeing up the doors for more storage space. Some of this definitely needs some time to get used to, but there's no denying that it does come with some serious benefits, chief of which is the plethora of storage spaces on offer. There are a lot of storage cubbies inside here. Some of them I think are more interesting than the others. For one, there's this huge space here in the center for you to keep things like your handbags, and these folding panels down here means you can put your more fragile items like your sunglasses down below without it getting crushed. The glove box, like we mentioned just now, has been moved to the center here so the driver has easier access to all of the things that are inside, and your rear passengers also get an additional tray underneath the center console for you to store some loose items or even be doubled as a dustbin, which some of you may know is a very classic Volvo detail. But my favorite has to be this center armrest area, which extends out like this. Now there's an additional tab up here for you to stow away in case you don't need to hold any cups over here, and if you don't need this area at all, you can also just hide it away, so this area just feels a lot more spacious and a lot more airy. All in all, the cabin here really just feels like a very nice place to be in. Now the materials, even though they are mostly made from recycled plastic or fabric like your jeans, they all still feel very nice to the touch. The build quality here is top notch, and all the little details like these very nice feeling door handles and the little flap on the rear seats to cover up your ISOFIX mounts, all of these things just make the Volvo EX30 feel that much more premium than its other competitors. There's also a huge glass roof above your head, further adding to the airiness and premium feel of the cabin. But if you are particularly scared of the sun, well, now's probably a good time to look for some aftermarket sunshades because the EX30 doesn't come with one. Now, Volvo keeps saying that the EX30 is a small car, but driving it, you know what? It doesn't actually feel small at all. I mean, of course, it is physically small, so it's still very easy to sneak around the tight corners, the parking lots and the city streets. But what I actually mean is that it feels grown up, it feels mature, it feels refined. It just feels like a big car. Riding over humps feels composed, and the car quickly settles down with a kind of poise you'd only expect from a big European Luxobudge. It's soft enough to soak up all of the bad road surfaces, but also not too soft that you're bouncing around across the road undulations. And as a whole, driving the EX30 really does feel relaxing and easygoing, no matter if you're on the city streets or out on the highways. But even when it comes to the twistier roads, the EX30 still feels very confident. It really does stay quite flat to the ground, even in the corners. Now, of course, like all EVs, the batteries here are all the way down there underneath the car. So the lower center of gravity does help keep the car feel more composed around the bends. But I think a lot of that driving experience actually comes down to the little details, like the steering that is so nicely weighted, especially in the firm setting, and also surprisingly communicative, the brake pedal that feels so natural without any of that spongy feeling that you get so often with EVs these days, the brake regen setting that feels just like driving a normal car, and even the sitting position is also spot on. And all of this just helps make the EX30 feel like such a pleasant car to drive. And of course, we have to mention the hilarious performance that it packs. In this Ultra Twin Performance variant, the two motors push out a total of 428 horsepower and 543 Nm of torque. In performance terms, that's 0 to 100 done in 3.6 seconds, faster than even a Porsche 911. Do you really need that much power in a family-focused small crossover? No, of course not. But it's just nice to know that the power is always there at a press of a pedal whenever you need that instant acceleration. And of course, beating supercars at the traffic light drag races are always fun, right? Not that you should be doing that. If anything, it's probably the easiest way to wake your passengers up who might have fallen asleep from the pretty quiet cabin. Not that you'll need it for the driver though, because as soon as you even open your mouth for a yawn, the car will immediately bing at you, asking you to take a break. The driver alert system is just one of the long lists of advanced driver assistance features that Volvo has packed into this car. Other particularly helpful features here include the rear autonomous braking for when you are reversing out of your parking space, and the door opening warning that will warn you if a car or pedestrian is passing by when you try to open the door. There are no surprises here when it comes to the advanced driver assistance features, and in general, I think they all work pretty well. I just wish that they let you turn some of them off permanently instead of it automatically coming back on every time that you restart the car. But if you've been a good driver in using your turn indicators, I don't think you'll find many problems here at all. What is more problematic to me though is that for Volvo, a company that is known to focus on safety, well, it really boggles my mind that they've decided to put almost every single thing into this screen over here. And the UX design for some of this stuff, well, they just take too many steps to change. Like for example, changing the aircon temperature takes at least 2 steps, and that's just 2 steps too many. And because these buttons are also on the smaller side, you really do have to look at the screen to basically do anything here. Now that alone probably isn't that big of an issue, especially in our modern world. But on the EX30, as soon as you do that, well, the car will start immediately screaming at you to keep your eyes on the road. I mean, what? At least the screen does work pretty well for the most part, with the Unreal Engine game engine here helping to keep everything smooth and responsive to your inputs. The built-in Google Maps also make navigating a breeze, and is especially helpful when you can look for charging stations and car parks directly from the car itself, although you can always still connect to Apple CarPlay if you prefer that. As part of the 2025 update for this car, which is now locally assembled here in Malaysia, well, there are only now 2 variants on offer, both of which are equipped with the same 69 kWh NMC battery pack. And on this Ultra Twin Performance variant, Volvo says that you'll be able to drive for up to 450 kilometers in one single charge. In my real-world testing, I've managed to record a power consumption figure of between 16 to 18 kWh per 100 km over 300 plus kilometers of driving. Now that really isn't too bad considering this car's performance credentials, but what that means is that the real-world theoretical range is only at about 400 kilometers or so, which is less than 90% of that WLTP rated figure. Still, 400 kilometers should be just about enough for even your longer road trips, but just like any other EVs out there, you really do have to do a little bit more homework before you set off. At least charging wouldn't take too long thanks to its 175 kW DC fast charging support. In its most ideal condition, charging from 10 to 80% will take just 28 minutes. Now for charging at home, a 11 kW AC charger will take around 8 hours to fully charge the car. The Volvo EX30, I think, really does have something for just about anyone. It has enough space for a small family, enough range for a long road trip, enough performance for the adrenaline junkies, and even enough style for the fashionable ones. And unless you're always ferrying around a party of 5 or more, I think this here truly does have a lot to like. That is, if you can get used to the unconventional premium materials inside. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We'd also appreciate if you click on the bell icon for notifications, because that really helps us out. Is the Volvo EX30 for you? Leave a comment below to let me know what's your favorite feature. And if you need more info, as usual, head on over to AutoBuzz.my.